Hi there, it's me, Tori D, and this is my 2023 Q1 money date. So even though I'm single, I still call this a money date. Basically, on the first Sunday of every month, I take some time and I figure out if everything is going well in my financial picture, in my financial life. Since this is also the first money date of 2023, I want to use this time to get some goals set up, figure out if my money and my categorization of my money is serving me well. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. So the first thing that I do every month for my money date is I go over here to my tracking accounts and make sure that they're all up to date. So all of my loans, groups A through J, are all student loans that are not only in deferral right now because of the governmental deferral, but also because I'm enrolled in coursework. The first thing that I always do is update my retirement accounts, my car value, and my brokerage account. So I'm going to start with my retirement account from my old job. So that is something that I am still in the process of getting rolled over. It has been a nightmare coming from the state of Florida. There's extra paperwork that they make you do, but they don't tell you you have to do it. So all of my pre-tax contributions have been sitting in my account, even though I left the job in April of 2022. They've all just been hanging out there. So it's something I have to still keep separate from my new job's rollover. All my Roth contributions came over, but not my pre-tax. So I just come in and I make sure that everything is up to date. And the way I do this is I just reconcile it and I acknowledge that there is a difference every time, and I just create that adjustment and finish. So now instead of the over 15,000, it has 14.5. Then I'm also going to go in to my new job's retirement account and get that updated. So this one is actually just a little bit different because there's been a market downturn, but I also have done my contributions. 63 cents difference. Excellent. Fantastic. So I usually go in on the first Sunday of the month and just check in on all of these. I do also keep track of my car value, just because for me, I know it is a depreciating asset, but it's an asset nonetheless. So I just kind of keep track of that. And then finally, I have a brokerage account that is straight brokerage right now. It is not performing very well, but that's because I actually did some single stock picking for a company that has not been doing particularly well. So I did that up to 100 shares of that company that's not performing as well. As I was getting some extra money, I was just putting it into something that was tracking S&P. So now that I've updated all of my tracking categories, the next thing that I always do is I go back to the previous month and see if there's anything that's still kind of hanging out that can be moved over. So for example here, I had $221 left in my dining out category. So I'm going to move that. And then here, everything else is either saving up for a yearly thing or it's my sinking funds that are just kind of continuously growing. So then I move into January and figure out kind of where I want to throw that. For right now, since my emergency fund is my top category, I'm just going to throw it in there. So one of the other things that I have been thinking about for this year, and I think I may have talked about it in my 2023 financial goals video, is I would like to open a Roth IRA for myself outside of my employer. So I think I'm going to add that to my immediate obligations. And what I would like to do for right now is fund that at $250 a month. I know that, that is would come up to about half of what you can have in the Roth IRA, since they did up the limit to $6,500 instead of $6,000 for the year. But I definitely want to start contributing to that since I am 27 for 2 more months and will be turning 28 this year. So I want to make sure that I'm contributing to that where I can. For that reason, I'm going to zero out some stuff in March. I'm not going to touch my subscriptions just because for me they're kind of a pain to redo and I'm getting paid on Friday anyway. But I just want to move this $150 into my Roth IRA. So that is technically not open yet. I was going to wait until the first business day after the markets reopen, after the new year, to kind of get that into place. So just kind of checking my own checklist. I've zeroed out my amounts from December. I've kind of looked at what I want to be doing. Actually, before I even put money in my Roth, I am looking at my month of January in particular, and I realized that I have to go to the office more than usual this month. So for example, I'm going to look back to my November, where I paid $153 in my transportation costs, and that was because I had to drive to the office, I think 7 or 8 days that month. I don't have to go that frequently because I don't have that active project that required me to be in the office that much, but I do have to go every week. So I just want to make sure that I have some extra money set aside there for my fuel costs in particular. The other thing is you'll see that the mortgage amount is back because I'm anticipating closing in the month of January and having that payment. So that looks to be in good shape. The other thing you may notice compared to my December budget is I've shifted these around. So one thing I did forget is that my dissertation money, like I need to pay out of that as I go. So for example, I spent $3,100 in December to pay for my spring tuition, which is 6 credits, which is kind of where I'll be sitting for the rest of my spring class and my summer classes, which are all dissertation credits. So I have kind of moved these around though, because the New England cruise does have an earlier date for things to be due. Once I fill up the emergency fund to $5,000, I think I'm going to be a little bit more divisive between these two goals to just kind of get them up to the amount that they're needed. But those look good. I think I updated all of the amounts for those. So this one, we're at 46%. Talked through kind of all of my immediate obligation kind of stuff. I can't wait till I can get rid of this storage unit, which is, you know how it goes. I also decreased my dining out category because I really want to be more intentional about the food that I'm eating and keeping track of what's going in, what's going out. Just kind of looking here, there's really nothing else that I can think of for the month of January that needs an amount adjustment like the transportation and fuel cost did. I am excited because I'm going to a craft retreat in the end of the month, kind of as my gift to myself for finishing my comprehensive exam. So that will be happening the last week of the month, and it's a quilting retreat in a town about an hour away. So a retreat center, I'm really looking forward to that, but I don't think I need anything extra set aside other than my usual amount because I already I have a ton of projects kind of in the lineup that I could take if I wanted to. Just kind of checking here. Education, everything here I think is in good shape. I think I am at the point now where I could probably move the $150 out of education and move it up to dissertation and hide it, which I think I am going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and hide this category because I don't need it anymore. But again, thinking about January, all of this should be good. I have shoes for this next trading cycle that I'm kind of starting / supposed to be in the middle of. All of these look good. The only thing that I have left to pay for our Bahamas cruise is parking, and that won't happen until after the cruise actually happens. That cruise is ready to go. This is also kind of the time of year where I like to evaluate the subscriptions that I have. What's kind of frustrating for me, frustrating is the wrong word. What's made a little bit more difficult by all of this is that there are some of these things that like I technically pay for, but I am not the primary user of. So for example, like I pay for Netflix. I don't really watch a ton of Netflix. Like I probably don't need this plan if it was just me, but I'm sharing it with the rest of my family. So we need to be able to view 2 screens instead of just one. Or I don't use Amazon Music at all, but my family uses it on our Alexa. So it's coming out of mine, which again, isn't a big deal. It just kind of clutters this up a little bit with some monthly expenses. I'm also considering, I haven't really thought extensively about my AAA, which is supposed to be renewing in January. I got AAA from my parents when I moved to Florida for my master's degree, but now that I'm back home in Pennsylvania and I live with my family right now and will be living very close to my family once I move out. That was kind of the whole purpose of having that, was to make sure I was taken care of if, my mom or dad couldn't drive by and pick me up from the side of the road. I also, this is a long way off in September, but I also want to kind of weigh my options and figure out, now that my big kind of travel period is over, where I'm not going to be flying back and forth every week for coursework or for trips or whatever, where my flying is going to be a lot more infrequent. I need to decide if I still want to be paying for the upgraded Delta Amex, or if I want to go back to my Gold Amex, which I already have more than double what it would be for the traditional gold one. I am also upping my holiday saving for next year, just because I overspent compared to what I had anticipated. But also, again, this was my first kind of holiday. This was my first Christmas back at home, which meant that I could kind of contribute to getting groceries, and like for all of that kind of incidental holiday spending, I could kind of help with some of that. So based on everything that's sitting here, I'm feeling pretty good going into January. There's nothing kind of special about any of my pays or paychecks during the month of January, other than I don't know if it's going to be the pay on the first Friday or the pay on the third Friday of January that's going to reflect my raise at work. As I've mentioned in a previous video, I'm getting a 2.83% raise, which is prorated from the 4% merit that I earned, but was with the company for 2/3 of the year. But I took 1% of that and already contributed it to my retirement, to my pre-tax retirement through my employer. So I'm not going to be seeing much, if any, of that raise. I just kind of want to know where that's going to hit. But that's how my money dates work. It is really just checking in with all of my accounts, making sure everything is reconciled and up to date and accurate, particularly for my net worth reporting. I know some people don't like tracking their retirement accounts or anything in YNAB, but since I use it for my net worth reporting, so I am trying to adopt a fire-like mindset. I really don't see myself working until I'm, 65, but I also don't see myself, or really want to see myself, retiring when I'm 35. So just really, I think, evaluating, being cognizant of what I'm doing, and working towards getting myself into either financial independence or just coast fire, something that gets me into a good spot financially, mentally, emotionally. So thanks for joining me on this money date. I hope your 2023 is shaping up to be as exciting as mine is. If you want to share some of your financial goals or some of the money moves that you're making in the month of January to set yourself up for success in 2023, go ahead and drop a comment down below. Again, I appreciate you joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.